Could you tell me a little bit about your service, when you served and where?
Well, I was working in an army camp, and everybody there of draft age was on deferment, and I didn't take a deferment. I decided I'd volunteer, and my mother says she wasn't against me going, but she didn't think it was necessary, and she said she just didn't think it was necessary at all for me to go. Go ahead and take your deferment. And I said, no, I think it's right that I go. I have no reason not to go. I'm 19 years old, and nothing tie me down. And about a year later, I look up at the sky, and I said, you damn fool, you should listen to your mother. Mothers are smart. And I was very fortunate. I was in a anti-aircraft artillery, a 40 millimeter outfit, and so we were usually set up to guard airfields. And so I never saw a man-to-man action. I was very fortunate. And I was a cook. I was in 3 different outfits, and I was always arranged to get in the kitchen, because if you're in the kitchen, you do your work, and when you're done, you're done. You don't stand guard duty or formations or nothing. I had to take gunnery training, but that was all. And I, I only got shot at once, and the man missed me on purpose. We were set up at a housing project with a big center field between the houses, and there was a sniper set there. And I guess he wasn't supposed to kill anybody because he could have killed a lot of us, but he would just agitate. And I went out one morning to light an immersion heater so that the boys could wash their mess kits. It's thing in a garbage can with the drips kerosene, and then you put a torch down and light it on a wire. And he shot the wire out of my hand. And that was kind of scary. And we were in an old circus building with doors 5, 6 inches thick, and great big heavy doors, big enough elephants could go in and out. But it didn't take me long to get the door on the other side of the door that time. And I scared the devil out of me. And, and the boys would be working on a truck at a mechanics field office, and he'd shoot they'd reach back for a wrench, and he'd shoot the wrench out of their hand. But he never killed anybody. So finally our colonel decided we had enough of that. He was going to form a formation and go get the guy. And our first sergeant was pretty smart. He says, no, let's do it my way. And we had a fellow in the outfit who could speak good German. And he'd tell the man, if you'll leave and get out of there, you've never shot any of us, and we never want to shoot you. So if you leave, we'll let you get going. And we won't shoot at you if you come down out of that house and get there. We know which house you're in, so we could come and get you, but we don't want to do that because you never shot any of us. So the guy take off, and that was the end of him. But it could have been, if we'd gone the way the colonel wanted to, going across the field, he could have got as many as he had shells for, because he didn't miss. Well, he shot what he wanted to hit. But other than that, I had things pretty peaceful. We were always back row echelon taking care of airfields. Well, I was in England, France, Germany, Belgium, and Luxembourg. I never knew there were so many countries. When I went to school, we had Germany, England, France, and America. We didn't have so many. Now they got all kind of countries all all over foreign lands, and I never heard of. I don't know where they are, but I was very fortunate, never got hurt, except I hurt my foot by jumping out of bed. Other than that, I was very lucky. But I was in 2 years, 10 months, 11 days, and 7 hours.
But you weren't counting.
ready to get out. When I went overseas, went on Argentina, second built boat just about as big as next to the Queens as being big, and sick all the time going over, seasick, I guess because I was worried about going over for more than the danger of the ship. Although we did have to go in convoy, and a couple of the ships got shot at. But coming back, we had a little ship, the Warback port, which was way overloaded with troops. And I didn't get sick at all out of there. In fact, I made money betting whether the guys would make it to the garbage can to puke or whether they puke on the floor to get there. And got into in the United States. We weren't allowed to go in the harbor where we were supposed to because they were worried about the boat sinking. They wouldn't even leave it in the harbor. They make it unload it and took it right back out because they were afraid it'd sink. We lost the power going over, and then it started to flood. They didn't have any power to run the pumps with. So it's kind of scary. A small boat, and they didn't have much control. You'd be down in the bottom of them swells and look up and see water up above you. It made you a little nervous. I was awful glad we got on dry ground.
You talk very calm about big incidents, but I'm glad that it was mainly peaceful, your experience.
But had it real lucky when we were going from England to France. Our mess sergeant was a good guy, but he never extended himself over. He was always believed in Army regulations. He wouldn't do anything for outside of regulations for he'd get in trouble. And I was always in trouble. We'd be doing something wrong, and I'd usually get blamed for it. It was usually my fault, so I couldn't complain too much. But I took 2 guys with me, and we went up in the kitchen on the boat and asked them if they needed some help. And because they had plenty of help to take care of the sailors usually on the boat, but there was 1,008, I think it was, extra men that they had to feed. And they said, we're darn right we need help. You're more than welcome. And it was quite an experience because that Davy boat had all electric kitchen, very nice, clean, and it worked out pretty good because they told us when we were going by the White Cliffs of Dover, and we got to look out the portholes and see the White Cliffs of Dover, which are supposed to be very famous. I don't know why. They were nice, but I don't know why they were any more famous than the Allegheny Mountains. But we could say we got to see them anyway, just because we volunteered in the kitchen. But a lot of crazy experiences like that. Well, my dad told me when you went in, never to volunteer, because he'd had military training. He never in the military, but he had training in college. But I didn't listen to him. And I got a lot of extra things done. Methods that I got into because I didn't listen. But it was a good experience. But there's the right way to do things and the military way. And I was raised on a farm, and we had to be independent and learn to do stuff for ourselves. And I tried to follow that through in the military, and I'd always get in trouble because you're supposed to do things the military way, even if they're not right. And so I learned a lot of things.
You said your dad told you not to serve. What inspired you to serve?
I beg your pardon?
Why did you want to serve? What inspired you?
Why did I want to what?
Why did you want to take part in the military? Why be a chef there?
Oh, like when we land in France, if we're supposed to cut any trees down for wood. It's snow on the ground and it's cold. And I was in the kitchen and I give the boys 3 meat. Oh, now I can't say it. You know what I mean. Chopped meat with a cleaver. And I gave them the cleaver so they could cut brush and build a fire. And they knew that I gave them the cleaver. They couldn't have cut brush without it. They built a fire. You weren't supposed to build a fire. You were just supposed to be cold. And right away I'm in trouble again for giving them cleavers to cut brush with so they could keep warm. And military, you were supposed to, I guess, just be cold. No sense to that. In a foreign country, and you can't cut brush. That's BS. My first experience of getting in trouble was right here in the States. We were down in Florida on a beach, and we go out on a overnight bivouac, and the big shots tell us to dig a hole for the kitchen stoves and everything, then put a canvas up over it for camouflage, so it couldn't be seen from the air. And then they retired, and I said, "You fellas do what you want to, but I'm not digging no hole." We cooked with gas stoves, and every once in a while, one of them would get away. And you dig a hole 6 foot deep, and put those gas stoves down in there and light them. Oh no, not me. So of course the guys decided that I was right, and they listened to me. So we get in all kind of trouble when everybody wake up, and we just put the canvas up over the stoves on the ground. We hadn't dug them in. And they knew it was my idea because nobody else would think of not obeying the orders. And that was right here in the States. But they got over it.
Maybe get in some trouble. So tomorrow there's an event that's going to honor veterans, the Wreaths Across America event. What does it mean to you now, kind of years after this experience, seeing people honor veterans?
And now people respect you. When I come home and got off the boat, couldn't even get a place to live. I was married, and we wound up renting a cottage at a summer resort. And that was cold weather, but you couldn't buy anything, and if you rented anything, you rented it with the provision that if they could sell it, you'd move. So you moved pretty often when I first got home. But now people respect you for what service you did. But we were veterans trip to Washington, D.C. And we leave here and drive to Salt Lake, or to St. George, and get on a bus and go to the airport in Las Vegas. And when we get to the airport, they even shut down the shops and people come out and clap and cheer. And we were all in wheelchairs. And they're pushing us along and people close up their shops and come out. And it kind of impressed you. Maybe you were appreciated a little bit after all. But a lot of people, I go to the store one day, or the restaurant one day with my son here from Pennsylvania, and I had a veteran's hat on. It said I was, had a thing that said I was 100 years old, and I asked my son, well, he really a World War II veteran and 100 years old? And my son says, yep, that's right. And but people always are congratulating you, but a lot of times I miss it because I don't hear good, and they don't know that I don't hear, so somebody's got to tell me later, oh, that fella was telling you, thanks for your service. And it makes you feel foolish because you don't hear them, but you can't hear everything that goes on.
How does it make you feel having that shift from, you said when you got off you didn't have as much support versus now, more honoring events?
Well, we got off the boat, and Red Cross people meet us, and they give us all a package. I was lucky. I got a pair of gloves in the package, but a lot of the packages were empty. People wrapped up empty boxes and not on there donating for the Red Cross, and they were donating. A lot of the boys opened up empty boxes, and that was pretty damn disgusting to open up an empty box. I was lucky. I got a pair of gloves, I think it was. And I can't understand how people could be so mean to give you a Christmas present and find out it was an empty box. Kind of felt like kicking the dog that ran away or something. You go on and learn a lot of things in life. I always very fortunate. I always had good work, met a lot of people, and had good jobs, and paid a lot of money, but I didn't know enough to keep it. I spent more than I made. I've had a good life, can't complain about a thing. Had a lot of good automobiles, good snowmobiles, good boats, good fishing. Caught a lot of fish too, by golly. And one time, I even, after I retired, I guided for fishermen in Ontario and Quebec. And a lot of people caught good big fish, but I never caught anything over 34-inch pike. But a lot of people caught 4-foot or better. But when you're guiding, you're paddling the canoe, and you don't have time to fish all the time. You got to have the customer get a good time. You're not supposed to be having a good time. But met a lot of interesting people, nice people. Everybody very cooperative and appreciate you. And the guy that had the license to take people fishing, he was, his dad was what we call a hard rock farmer, more rocks than anything else to grow, and his mother was an Indian, so he knew all kinds of vegetables and wild flowers and stuff that you could eat, and real interesting, smart guy. And he would usually have pancakes for breakfast when we were in. And he'd set people around in a circle, and I don't know how he could ever do it, but he'd cook pancakes in a frying pan, and he'd say, hold out your plate. They're 10 foot away. And he'd put the pan up and down and flip the pancake, and he never missed. Always hit the plate. I don't know how. I couldn't do it. But a lot of interesting things happened.
Had an adventurous life, it sounds like. I heard that, so tomorrow they're putting the wreaths out at the cemetery, and there's also a new veterans cemetery going in just for veterans. What do you think of people kind of being together again at the end of their life who have served through these different wars?
What do I think of being together?
Yeah, these cemeteries that are putting veterans together.
Oh, that's nice. If, I don't know where I'm going to be buried. I'm going to be cremated, and whether I left it up to my wife and Nancy where they want to have me put away, because I got a headstone in Pennsylvania. Whether they wanted to send me back there or bury me here, it didn't matter to me. But my wife can't make up her mind because she died 10 years ago. So it's just up to Nancy, whatever they decide to do when I pass on. I don't know. I won't care about it.
The veterans that are together, do you think that says anything, like a togetherness, or I don't know, having flags around the cemetery? What does that mean to you?
Beg your pardon?
For veterans who are buried together, is that some sense of community, or what do you think is the mindset behind that?
No, it's just a little cemetery out in the country at Cambridge Springs, Pennsylvania. My first wife was buried there.
Yes, sorry. I'm asking about, there's the Veterans Cemetery in Cedar City where it'll be all veterans. It was built this year.
It's nice, but you can't see each other anyway. So it's a big difference. But when you're dead, you're done.
That's fair. That is fair. And then, what does it mean to you when someone comes up to you today and tells you, thank you for your service? What do you think?
It's nice, but you wished somebody would have felt that way 75 years ago. It would have been nice too. It would have been nicer then when you needed something. Now, too late, but nice that they appreciate it. But a lot of people don't even know what the Second World War was all about. They don't teach it in school, I don't think. And I went Kadam one time, and they wanted me to come there as a veteran and tell them what happened. And until I got there that day, the kids didn't even know there was a Second World War. But a lot of people don't understand what happened. They don't know. So they thank you, but they really don't know what they're thanking you for.
So do you think these events are good to bring more awareness?
What?
Are these events good then to help educate people and remind them of what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, they should teach it at school more than they do. I don't think they teach it very much. They have good programs on TV once in a while, but kids don't take time to watch educational TV. They want to watch the hoop-de-doo.
And why would you urge them that it's important to learn about this?
Beg your pardon?
Why would you tell them it's important to learn about this?
History class, we, we used to have a class in high school where you just, all we'd have was really debates, and you could take whichever side you wanted in different subjects. And we learned more in that class than we ever did in English class. Studied Macbeth. Who cares about Macbeth? He, he, he died a long time. Well, why worry about him? But more about, we'd have current events that we'd argue about why they happened and how they happened and what's going to happen next. And that was interesting. I did good in that. It was the only class I did good in.
That's great. Leslie, why did you want to join the military?
Why did I what?
Why did you want to join the military?
What'd she say?
Why
did you want to join the military?
Oh, well, I didn't have any reason not to. And I had a cousin that he'd been shot with a submarine in the New York harbor. A boat sunk, Germans. I thought maybe, I don't know, a lot of people in the service, I always gone with people older than I was. And I'd be downtown and they'd say, "Are you home again on furlough?" And because they'd think I was already in the service, and I wasn't. And I thought, if they think I should be in the service, maybe I'd better get in it. And that's the main reason. Of course, I was going to get even with the Germans, but I never did that. I never got very close to being even with them for killing my cousin. But people didn't know about the submarines in New York City Harbor, but they were there. They surprised everybody.